Guys, I really wanted to stop preaching and be done with it, but then God told me how important it was, and I asked Him what somebody has to do to have eternal life, and what He showed me was pretty simple and amazing. He showed me a couple things. One, you cannot go back to the things in the Bible. You can't go back to the Torah. You can't go back to the law. You cannot go back to even what people call the New Testament. See, their salvation was whenever Christ came, the salvation, the kingdom, and an everlasting life was whenever Christ returned and destroyed the temple in 70 AD. And He already did these things and He already fulfilled them. So whenever people go back to them, they reject everything that brought forth eternal life. They reject it all and they cannot have eternal life. I'm not exactly sure what happens to everybody. I have thoughts and things that I think that I know, but I want to make sure that the things that I say I'm sure about. So I'm still meditating, asking God about a lot of things and how things work in this day and age. But He showed me that the old world is completely gone. It's gone, it's blackness. From 70 AD and before, the world is complete blackness, it's void, it's dark, it's gone. It's completely erased. And Christ fulfilled the law and He fulfilled the prophets. And He came back. He already came back. He already destroyed the temple. He destroyed Jerusalem. All those things are done. It's no small thing that God sent His Son so that people could have access back to God. But whenever you go back and you reject all that Christ did, then you're rejecting salvation. And by bringing up that old world, you're in darkness. I saw people in visions where they were looking up and their eyes turned completely black while they were reading the Bible. Their eyes turned completely black because they went back to all that Christ fulfilled. And they're looking into that darkness. He showed me that the whole world was darkness before then. It's wiped out. It's done. It's over. This is a different time. So it's common sense, actually. I mean, it's just natural sense that if you go back to everything that was fulfilled and you're living before salvation, then you can't have eternal life. He also showed me another thing. He showed me that it's what it takes for people to live for God today is to do good to each other. And it's that simple. Living for God, you can worship God all you want. You can say all the words you want. You can try to say anything you want. But that's not true worship. Real worship of God isn't your words. He knows what you actually think and He knows what you're trying to say. It's not your words and your deeds that you could be doing just to make yourself look good or just because, something like that. Trying to obtain salvation whenever you're not really a good person and you've got a bad heart. But He showed me that you have to do good to your brother. And a guy I saw in a vision, a guy was sitting on this fountain thing, and he said, "Well, who are my brothers?" And it was the people that he had come in contact with. He had people on his right and on his left, and he said that they were strangers. He said, "Who are my brothers? All I have around me is strangers." And God said, "They're the ones on your right and on your left." So to actually worship God is to do good to God's creation. Because the only evil that we can do nothing evil to God. Can you touch God or hurt God in any way? There's no way. So the only way to do good is to do good to God's creation. Whenever you have one person doing evil to one person, you're doing evil to God's creation. And if you have two people doing evil, which is in most cases, everybody that meets each other does evil to the other one, and everybody cares for their own things more than the person next to them. This is what causes all the evil in the world. This is how you affect God. You can't lay a finger on God Himself, and you cannot hurt Him. But the way that you're evil is if you affect God's creation in an evil way. So all it takes, since Christ already came and fulfilled everything, all it takes is to do good, not lie. This is all it takes. If you go back to the Bible, I was told by God that you cannot have eternal life. That's how important it is. If you go back to the Bible, the Quran's full of laws and Moses and everything else too. If you go back to laws in a book, I don't care what religion it is, if you have laws and things that you put on your flesh whenever the blood of Christ was shed to cover your flesh so that we could have this new world where we're not bound by the things of the old world, the law and Adam. God told me that Adam is no longer the firstborn. He told me that Adam is not the firstborn. He said Jesus was the firstborn. All right, Jesus is the beginning of this new world. His blood covered your flesh. And whenever you're still trying to live by the old world and the old things, where you're trying to make your flesh righteous, you're rejecting the blood of Christ and all that he did. So you need to get rid of the Bible. Throw it away out of your mind and realize it is part of the old world before all things were fulfilled. Because bringing that back up, I was told plainly that you would not have everlasting life.